This is James Barfield with Cascade Media Group, and today I want to talk about the verdict that was handed down in a courtroom in Brunswick, Georgia. Today, with the verdict of guilty on all 9 counts by the shooter of one Ahmaud Arbery, Black Americans and all Americans saw real justice. In this case, which was 3 white men chasing down an unarmed Black man who was simply out jogging in midday in a majority white neighborhood. And he was encountered, he was tracked down and chased down and treated like a hunted dog, and finally shot to death by a shotgun-wielding Travis McMichael. Now, after a lengthy trial, justice prevailed when the jury came back after deliberating for less than 2 days with a guilty on all 9 counts against Travis McNeil. Now, his dad, who was also involved, was found guilty on 8 counts. The only count that he escaped was that of malicious murder. The third man who was involved in this chase, who was driving a second pickup and filming the actions of the first 2, the father and son, faced a guilty verdict on 7 of the 9 counts. This, ladies and gentlemen, was a drastic, distinct difference from what we saw just a few days ago in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Now, why was there a difference, a drastic difference in this case and the Rittenhouse case? Well, let me give you a couple of good reasons. Number one, you had a professional, ethical, neutral judge presiding in this case. He didn't bother to offer his opinions, his thoughts. He treated both the defense and the state with honor and respect. And the jury listened attentively to the evidence being put forth by the prosecutor. And they listened to the dog whistles and the racial bias presented by the defense, including one defense attorney who was more like a snake oil salesman, say to the judge in front of the jury, we don't want any more Black preachers coming into this courtroom. And the judge had to admonish him that, hey, this is a public trial. And I am not going to say who can and who cannot come and sit in on a public trial. He had to be reminded. And then another defense attorney, a female, had the audacity to talk about the victim's dirty toenails. Now, what the heck that has to do with a murder case, I don't know. But just to show you, this was the difference between a judge who was presiding in a neutral, unbiased manner doing his job that he was elected to do, and that is to listen to the evidence in an unbiased, neutral manner, weigh the evidence presented by both sides, and in the end, give the jury the proper instructions as to how to deliberate and how to determine the manner of either guilt or innocence of these three defendants. Having done that, the jury came back with guilty verdicts that more than likely will send these three defendants to jail for the rest of their lives. Now, first, I want to say this. Hats off to and props to the prosecutors who did a wonderful job in presenting this case to a jury of 11 white jurists and one black jurist. She did not present this as a racial case. She presented this as a case of malicious murder, chasing down a young black man who was simply jogging through the neighborhood in mid-daylight. And yet, he was suspected of having criminal intent. Now, mind you, this gentleman had nothing in his pockets, no knife, no gun, no nothing. But yet they determined that he is the one that had stolen several items from a boat. Now, every time this man was seen jogging through the neighborhood, he didn't have a vehicle trailing him. There was no evidence that he had a vehicle parked anywhere. So my question is, how would a man walking or jogging through a neighborhood, how would he carry, or how would he transmit stolen items? Where would he put them? Certainly anything from a boat wouldn't fit into his pockets. He didn't have a car. This was all purely made up lies from the defendants. First, they said they were making a citizen's arrest, but they never told the police that. They never told the defendant that he was under arrest. In order for a citizen's arrest to be legal, the so-called citizens have to witness a crime in progress. These guys didn't. They didn't have any. They hadn't any evidence. They hadn't seen or witnessed anything except a black man jogging through their neighborhood. So then they tried to say, well, that's not going to work. So the defense attempted to say that, well, this guy was a criminal. We've seen him in the neighborhoods many times, and we've had several burglaries, even though these burglaries had never been reported to the police. But we've had several burglaries. He has to be the guy. He has to be the guy. Now, they even claim that they saw this guy in pitch black dark, but yet they could identify him as being the one. Based on what? Oh, I know. He's black, and all blacks look alike. So he has to be the one. That's the same guy. Okay? Now, so then they try to tie this guy to a crime that one of the defendants said had stolen something from his pickup in 2019. Now, this is 2021, And this is the first time we've heard this story. So thankfully, folks, we had a jury in Brunswick, Georgia, of all places, that had enough common sense to see right through these lies. And thankfully, what we have today is something that we very seldom see in America. Justice prevails when a white defendant or defendants chase down and threaten and then fatally shoot an innocent, unarmed Black man who made every attempt to run away from them for over 5 minutes. And yet they chased him down. They barricaded him in, locked him in with the 2 pickup trucks. And he had nowhere to go. And they shot him in cold blood. And then as he lay on the ground dying, one of the defendants had the audacity to refer to him as a effing N-word. Well, he's going to a place right now where I think he might meet several people who look like Ahmaud Arbery. But I highly doubt that he would refer to any one of them as a effing N-word. Justice has been served. For Cascade Media, I'm James Barfield.
This program is brought to you by Clark Star